Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Saturday, October 12th, 2024. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with WWE Smackdown, broadcast live last night on USA Network from the Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, South Carolina. The show closed with the Bloodline laying out both Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso.
Middle of the ring, from behind, Jacob Fatu. Solo once again calling the shots. Oh dear, oh no. Jacob into the corner to Roman. And again, the Bloodline strength in numbers. Jimmy Uso back into the ring, going after Jacob Fatu now. And Jimmy runs into a big kick. Exercise in futility. Look at this! Fatu! Terrifying athleticism from the Samoan werewolf.
Reigns had come out to save Uso when he was attacked by the Bloodline following his loss to Sikoa. In the opening segment, Roman Reigns had officially welcomed Jimmy Uso back in an in-ring promo segment. Kevin Owens made two appearances during the show, first seeming to interrupt the start of the women's tag team title match to run down Cody Rhodes on the mic, resulting in a pull-apart brawl, and later staging a backstage attack on Randy Orton, who had come to Rhodes' aid.
Security, let's go right now! What are you doing, Kevin? What are you doing? Kevin, stop! Security, get him in there, get him out of here! What are you doing, Kevin? You gotta pick sides now! Let's go! Kevin! Pick the wrong side! Kevin! Stay on him, get him out of here! Kevin, what are you doing?
The women's tag team title match saw champions Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defeat NXT's Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson when Cargill pinned Jackson. In other results, U.S. champion LA Knight retained against Carmelo Hayes, and WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax was pinned by Naomi in a non-title match. After the bout, Rhea Ripley emerged, taking out Jax, as well as Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan of Judgment Day. AEW presented Rampage last night on TNT, featuring matches taped October 8th in Spokane, Washington. In the main event, Brian Keith defeated Rocky Romero. The conglomeration duo of Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly teamed for a win over the Undisputed Kingdom in the opener. In other selected results, the Beast Mortos defeated the Butcher, and the Acclaimed were the targets of an attack by the MXM Collection. In more AEW news, Jimmy Jacobs has departed the company. According to a report by Fightful Select and later confirmed by Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Online, Jacobs resigned this week citing burnout. While still an active wrestler on the independent scene, Jacobs joined AEW as a writer and producer in June of 2023. He served in the same capacity for TNA Impact Wrestling prior to joining AEW. And finally, in injury news, AJ Styles sustained a legitimate injury during his return match with Carmelo Hayes on last week's SmackDown, according to a report from Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The injury was reported to be a midfoot ligament sprain, which led to referee Charles Robinson stopping the match. Styles received an MRI after the show to determine the severity and nature of the injury. There had reportedly been plans to do a retirement tour for Styles leading out of the match, and it's believed that that will still be the case once he's cleared to return. There had been some uncertainty originally as to whether the injury was legitimate or part of an angle. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.